Hello everyone, this is White Wolf, and I wanted to talk about acting on faith always and not wavering in our faith, and knowing that when we have those acts of faith, when we have those moments where we pull the trigger on decisions that we feel that we're lacking in, or we feel like it's going to initiate a different state of consciousness, a different state of awareness, a different state where you're going to be able to collapse timelines when you make that said decision. And looking back on your life and knowing that you could have made certain decisions that would have changed your life completely, but also acting on your faith will allow you to generate different causes and different effects, will allow you to really shift the energy and the vibration and to see what is really possible. Because if you don't try at something, if you never take a chance on something, if you never take a risk on something, if you never make a spontaneous change on something, it will never change. Your life will never change. So we always have to take risk, and we always have to have those acts of faith. And when we have those acts of faith, it allows us to have conviction within that faith. But then it allows us to be sure of ourselves, and we can be certain how we're going to manifest and how we're going to project within this earth plane. So when we have the ability to have faith in every single thing that we do, and we pull that faith from that channeled embodiment of God's source energy, and we're not acting out of thoughts or emotion or sense perceptions, but we're acting on the divine's will, and we're listening to that divine obedience. And I would have never gotten where I am right now if I didn't make those radical changes, those spontaneous changes, those changes that allow you to be a rebel and to allow you to embody your free will to the fullest. And it's just becoming the change. It's not just even embracing it, but it's allowing yourself to flow with that change and not being scared of changing or acting on your faith or being afraid to go for it in your life. I think one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life was to absolutely just go for it and to allow my seeking impulse to drive every single thing that I do. And when we have that within our lives, and it's a driving force, and it's a positive reinforcement, and it's a force of empowerment that allows us to go so many different directions within our journey, and knowing that there's different parallel realities, a billion of them, to explore and to generate a sense of belonging. So in everything that you do, you should have that love and that awareness and that faith and that security to really go for it, and to know that you will not be judged for it. You will not be judged for going for your dreams or going for what you're most passionate about, or to follow your alignment to the fullest extent. Because if you do that and you follow your alignment, then you allow yourself to really go for it, and you don't allow yourself to live in fear or go by what is safe and what makes you feel the most secure within your vibration. You don't allow yourself to think in that way, but you allow yourself to really follow the divine's plan, and follow that divine obedience will allow you to see that every time that you take an act in faith, you're changing the energy, and you're also changing the energy of the past right now, right in the present. So you're changing the energy everywhere that you go when you align to your actions, but you also follow your desires at the same time. So when you allow yourself to follow your desires at the same time, you allow yourself to flow with your energy. You allow yourself to go with the current, and you also allow yourself to not be afraid to take risk or to be edgy or to be a rebel. So to be rebellious is not being rebellious as the way we were when we were kids, when we would just do something mischievous or do something to piss somebody off, but it's being rebellious, embracing your free will, and you can live the life that you want to live right now. But you have to change your state, and you have to change your personality, and you have to change everything right now, and you have to change everything that you're speaking about, and you have to change how you're vocalizing things or how you're directing things within your life. And you just have to put that to a screeching halt. And you got to have conviction within your faith, and have faith in yourself always, because you've always already been free already. And it's like making that choice and making that decision to always align to freedom, and seeing the beauty and the serenity when you act on your faith, because faith is always testing you, in a sense. Faith is always testing you. I remember I saw a cigar ashtray. I smoke cigars, and the first time I went into the cigar shop, I didn't have the money to buy that said ashtray. But then the second time I went in there, and my girlfriend's like, if you really want it, then buy it. And I did. And then I was reciprocated, and I had enough money to get other stuff. But if I didn't make that choice, to quit my job and to follow my spirituality, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't make that choice to move out of my parents' house, to move into my roommate's place, and then move in with my girlfriend, I wouldn't be here today. And sometimes the divine will line things up for you to show you that you're on the path, that you're here, and that you're in the now present moment. And sometimes it's just a paradigm shift. Sometimes it's the breadcrumb trail of excitement, and stuff are just, the stars are aligned so that you can see like, oh, I can get out of this sad situation. I can really embark on a new journey. I can embark on a new state of consciousness, but I can attune myself to that ways of the ascended master, but also the ways of the master intuitive manifested in the human form right here, right now. So when we act on our faith always, we're always generating a sense of shifting and freedom and belonging and balance and harmony. Because if you didn't act on your faith, then you were limiting yourself or restricting yourself in that moment. So in that moment, you were, in a sense, keeping something from yourself that you could have manifested. And we've done this a lot of times in our lives where we've kept ourselves from things because we were too afraid to pull that trigger on that said situation or that relationship, or maybe it was a business venture or that job that we really wanted, but we kept working at that other job that we absolutely hate. So our labor is our love, and a way to really act on your faith and to make brighter decisions and make better actions and to align your causes and effects so that they're not linear, but they're multifaceted and they're multidimensional. If we allow ourselves to act on our faith always and to not be afraid, but to really go with it and to hone our skills and to allow our gifting to shine through everything that we do, it will completely change the atmosphere of our energy. And if we change the atmosphere of our energy, we change the frequency, we change the way that we feel emotionally, intelligently, but also embracing our sensitivities and embracing that universal receptor that's inside of ourselves. If we embrace that, if we embrace always receiving and being receptive to whatever we're able to manifest and to direct and to align to that vibration, then there's no limitation to what we can have within our lives. The only limitation that we bring into that or invite into that is a belief of lack, a belief of worry, or that you're going to spend that money on that said thing and it's not going to come back to you. So we have to treat consciousness like it's a boomerang. The boomerang's maybe been gone for 2 days. The boomerang may have been gone for a week or two. So we throw that boomerang and we have that reciprocation activation, knowing that it's going to come back and it's going to come back to us tenfold, because we are very prominent in the way that we were asking and believing and receiving to the point we know. So you have to imbibe your faith, and you have to have conviction within that faith, and you have to have the knowledge and the wherewithal that you have the choice to make a different decision, but also make a different frequency, but generate space so that you can create so much differently. And when you do that, because if you don't act on your desires, if you don't act on your passions, if you don't act on having different circumstances, then you're never going to know what it's like to use your imagination to be able to play with reality, manifestation, or anything like that. It was so funny I didn't put the links on the video. I just kind of went for it. But I want to thank you guys for being on the live so far, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is White Wolf. If you've never experienced me or my channel, this is a spirituality channel. I do meditations and channel messages like I am right now. And it's the full moon today, and energies are heightened, energies are intense, energies are running wild, a lot of emotional healing, a lot of empowerment, but also a lot of action. Sometimes when you go to the store and there's a full moon, the energies are heightened and you just don't want to be out in the world. You're like, oh shit, these people are just nuts. But then you realize, like, I used to be that person. So it allows you to be fair on how we can restrict things from ourselves. We can limit things on ourselves. We can put ourselves in a category or a box or a revolving door. And it's just stepping out of that revolving door and having the conviction within our faith to quantum leap into anything that we want to do, to quantum jump into anything that we want to grow and expand upon at that exact moment. And when we allow ourselves to do this, we allow ourselves to shift into every parallel aspect of the I am presence, but also parallel realities, but to experience the experiences before we experience them. I've talked about this many times, but teleporting to your future manifestations. You can create your future manifestations already present if you are able to just quantum leap into them and place everything that you want within that cosmic vortex. So you're the index of creation. You are a cosmic codex. You are the index of creation. You just have to flip the page to the end of the book and see how many powers that you have and how many different configurations that you have, but also how many energetic combinations that you have. And we all have this inside of ourselves. And it's very beautiful. And I had a very beautiful dialogue with my girlfriend because she asked me the question, have my acts of faith impacted you? And I'm like, hell yes, they've impacted me, because they allowed me to be who I am. They allowed me to do the things that I do, to have the leap of faith of going live, or just doing my gifting, swimming in very cold water, like 30 degrees and stuff like that, and pushing myself to do things and to promote things and to share this message. And that's what helps you align your emotional guidance system when you have faith. Because if you didn't have faith in your emotions or your thoughts or your belief systems, then you're never going to act on your faith and have the bravery or the courageousness to actually go for it. So everybody does that joke on TikTok. So it allows you to see that it recalibrates everything. It brings you back to focus, but it brings you back to actually being aware of things and being cognizant about things and actually generating your sense of focus towards your intentions, but also confirming what you are and confirming what you are not. So when you allow yourself to do that, it's very profound and empowering, because you're actually searching within yourself for something even greater, because you know everything is inside of you, and what's inside of me is inside of you too. That was a line from a movie called Free Guy. But we're regaining our innocence when we're able to act on our faith. It brings us back to that childlike wonder and that childlike imagination, because it allows us to tap into innocence once again. Because babies don't think of the world collapsing. Babies don't think of the worry and the stress of the world. When, like, a 3-year-old child's at the store, they know what they want. And if you ask a kid to tell the truth, they'll tell you straight up what they think about you, how they feel about you, how they think of you, because kids are very honest. And see, that's what aligns you to truth, is to have that childlike wonder. Because if you ask your kid if your dinner is not tasting good, they'll tell you flat out your dinner does not taste good. So, you know, it's like, why would you eat that food if you like McDonald's, why would you eat Burger King if you don't like that stuff, right? It's kind of like, that's the same thing with suffering. That's the same thing with limitation. Why would you keep perpetuating that if you don't like it or identify with it? You know? It all amounts to the same thing. So we allow ourselves to generate different pathways that generate different dimensional ley lines, which generate this multiplication of energy, because we're multiplying the seeds that are being sent out when we act on our faith. The different codes, the different DNA strands, aligning to those different archetypes of energy. And it just makes perfect sense to act on your faith, always. It never makes sense to not act on your faith. Just think about that for a second. It never makes any sense to not act on your desire, your faith, your things that bring you to true compassion. Instead of enabling your distortions and the identification of the ego, enable the things that bring you the most profound seeking impulses. Because I question everything, even the parts about history that they tell us all the time. And some people will say that you're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. But I question everything. I question everything that happens. I question everything that occurs. And also the things that they try to sell us all the time in society. I question everything. I question myself every single day. How am I thinking about that? Why am I perpetuating this? Why do I keep doing that? I question myself every day. I try to look myself in the mirror and accept myself. I try to radiate that love and that light every single day. It's difficult because you have to maintain that consistency. And when you go live here, you're prophesying everything. So that's why I try to talk about empowering things instead of talking about negative things on my lives, unless it's something I have to really address. But I want to instill a sense of faith and stability and wonder within people so that people can generate their own signs, wonders, and miracles, I hope you guys can hear me. I didn't know if I hope you guys can hear the audio on the live. If I'm muted, can you please let me know? I don't know. Let's see here. Okay. My headphones are not connected. Thank God. But also, you guys can book a private session if you're enjoying the live so far. You can book one for $70 for psychic readings, a healing session for $60, and a $50 psychic class. Also, White Wolf the Oracle on YouTube, Instagram, whitewolf4741, and BitChute, whitewolftheoracle23_@. And it's funny because one thing will propel your messages. It just takes one little gold nugget that you find along the way, and then you expand upon that little golden nugget. It's like you find that little confirmation, that little sign, that little wonder, and that little miracle, and you just allow it to open up into this beautiful paradox. And it allows everything to accentuate the energy that you're carrying. It allows you to encapsulate that energy in that state of consciousness. But faith always generates that state of progression. When faith generates that state of progression, it promotes longevity. And it also promotes the sense of being here, right now. Just being yourself, being your most authentic self. And that's what faith really installs inside of ourselves, is the act of really tapping into who we really are instead of what we are not. And if I didn't have the faith, I would have never done all of the things that I did, even before I was awakened, and how I moved out of my parents' house. That was way before I even had the thought of moving out. And even before my transcendent spiritual experiences with my girlfriend going to Arizona and getting my first psychic appointment. So everything will be lined up for you. It's just being aware of it, being cognizant about it, and not basing an outcome and getting muddled within all the details. You don't have to get muddled in all the details on how it's going to happen, but just know it's going to fucking happen. And it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be transcendent, and it's going to bring you greater faith, stability, and awareness to go along your journey with the utmost confidence and be comfortable, but also be vulnerable to receive at every given moment. It's very beautiful. So I'm going to see if my guides want me to say anything else, or my higher self. I don't think so. So we're going to do a meditation. So if you've never been on my channel before, I do meditations, I do readings and healings. I'm going to start maybe doing those on the weekend, because it seems like weeknights there's not a lot of people on those lives. So with this meditation, I want you to give yourself some relief and some comfort, and give yourself that fresh breath of air, of release, of relaxation, of peace, in here and outside of yourself. So everybody take a deep breath. Exhale. And just look at the things in your life that you've been afraid to act on. Those people that you've been afraid to talk to, or hesitant, or you don't know how to bring it up at that said time. But always bring everything out into the open. It's better to say something than to say something not at all. But say it with discernment, wisdom, and harmony within yourself, to be able to relay the message with unconditional love. And just see how you can manifest at great speeds. How you can make one decision, and it could be like a domino effect. And it can generate so many different portals, gateways, and pathways into the upliftment of your ascension on this spiritual journey. How it can be very emphatic. It can be very epic if you want it to be. But you just have to allow it to be that flow of energy, that beauty that you seek inside of yourself, but also the faith and the conviction that you have with your awareness. And you allow yourself to flow with your consciousness, to make radical changes, to be spontaneous, but also to be simultaneous within every single moment, so that you're able to take those little gold nuggets and expand upon them and multiply upon the positioning that you're allowing your intentions to shine through. We're going to tap into our heart, we're going to tap into our mind, and we're going to generate the twin heart. Archangels of love and light, who's willing to cleanse us of our auric field. Tapping into God's source energy in the great I Am, diving deep into Middle Mother Gaia Earth, north, east, south, and west. Grandmother and the tribal women, the Intergalactic Council, Ashgar Command, my Druid guide, and all 6 of my dragons, the Galactic Federation of Light, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Sandalphon, Raphael, and Mother Mary. It allows you to regulate your energy. It allows you to have repetition. It allows you to have consistency, but also a progression upon your faith when you act on things that you're afraid to act on, your desires. Just doing something fun sometimes, and you're like, man, I don't have the money necessarily to do that thing that is very fun. I don't have that money to do the thing that is very fun. But if you act on it, and you actually do that thing that is fun, you're actually tapping more into the vibration of who you are. instead of just staying at your home and watching TV and eating Cheetos. Instead, you could have met maybe your wife, or maybe your best friend, or maybe you could have embarked on a big business venture that would have allowed you to change your life. It's that one decision, and you don't always understand it, and the divine will kind of nudge you, give you those whispers of spirit, but also it will give you a sense, are you going to be obedient towards it? Are you going to be loving and compassionate towards it, and to receive and to persevere through adversity, even if it seems very difficult in the moment before you're about to do that said thing? You allow yourself to tap into the internal journey, but you allow yourself to tap into the external journey as well. On our path, there's always synchronicities, signs, miracles, and wonders for us to receive upon, for us to really look out, and for us to be really receptive on how we're going to experience this moment. Are we going to experience this moment in a very holistic, loving way? Are we going to experience this moment and create that moment while we're in the present moment? Can we shift into who we are as a spiritual being of love and light and tap into the oracle of love, light, and wisdom's energy? We can tap into our prophetic nature here and now. We can live a prophecy now. We can live a very prophetic life and a very profound life. We can live our best life now if we just choose it with our faith and our conviction. We can be a metaphysical attractor, and we can detract anything that we don't want in our life. We can be like, no, thank you. I will have this instead. You wouldn't go to a restaurant and order the food that you didn't want. You would want to get the things that you absolutely want. So always choose the things that you absolutely want, because those are the things that are bringing you closer to the energy that you're supposed to become. And then we break patterns and cycles and waves of emotions that don't need to be there. And we just kind of nip it in the bud right then and there. And just ask yourself, how do you feel like at this exact moment while you're in the meditative state? Because it wasn't me allowing you to be in the meditative state. You chose to be in the meditative state. That's the difference. We're not watching meditation so that other people bring us in that state. They're just a vehicle and a message to relay, or they're just sharing so that you just tap back in. But you did it. You made the choice, and that's what's beautiful about it. You made the choice to meditate. You made the choice to follow your journey. You made the choice to completely immerse yourself in the power of going for it. Nature is running wild right now. And just appreciate the birds chirping. Appreciate everything, the air, the atmosphere, just everything in that moment. And take that little thing, that little particle accelerator, that little seed of greatness, that little golden nugget, and just open it up and expand it even more. Sometimes it's just above us, and it's just dependent on are we going to reach up and grab it and put it in our heart and just live by it, and just every single day do a little something that attaches your vibration to your greatness. So everybody take one last deep breath. Exhale. And so it is. So that was the meditation. Thank you for 1,000 likes. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the 1,000 likes. Wow, that's really cool. I feed wild birds and songbird seed and sprinkle it around my yard before I sit and meditate. That's kind of like your ritual, if you will. That's like a morning ritual that you just do in the morning, and it accentuates everything because you're tapping into the energy of the birds. Like there was an armadillo. I want to go on what you said there. There was an armadillo, and I was supposed to check the gas pump, but for some reason I went straight into the front, and I went and I heard something, and for some reason I walked close to the mailbox, and then in the wood area, on the wood path, there was an armadillo, and I tapped into the energy of the armadillo. It was like, I don't know why I walked towards that, but I walked towards the armadillo, and I needed to receive from it. So nature is very empowering. I love being out in the woods and doing these lives out in the woods, and I think they've made them even more empowered, because when you sit out in nature for like a couple of hours, it's as if you're just bringing yourself back home. But also I walk barefoot for at least like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the longest, just to ground back in. And it's been very impactful and empowering, and definitely if anybody's out in the woods, I would recommend wearing a hat, because sometimes the bugs can crawl on your head and stuff. That's why I've been wearing a hat so much, because I'm outside all the time, and it's sunny and it's pretty hot. But it just allows yourself every day that you act on your conviction, and you act on the faith, and you act on why you are here, and you make it impactful as you can. Every time that you have conviction within your faith, every time that you act on something that you're afraid to act on, it dissolves all of fear, all of intensity, all of lack, all of putting yourself down, but also just letting go of your ego in that moment, because you acted on that thing that you were so afraid to act on, and you made it more impactful because you just totally debunked how you were going to limit yourself in that moment. And that's what's beautiful about it. It allows you to free your mind. It allows you to just free everything, because many people, as they're meditating, they're thinking that they're taking themselves out of a grounded state and taking themselves out of their heightened state of awareness. But we ground to maintain that heightened awareness, because we have to have that high resonance, but it also has to come grounded within the earth, and we try to maintain that enlightened awareness. And it dissolves, like, instead of just thinking about what you need, think about what the hell you want. Think about what you want, because what you want makes you more empowered than feeling like you need something or that you need another person. And I think sometimes when we don't act on that, then we're kind of like shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. So I made my lives a little bit longer because then there's some people who comment, and then there's some people who come in that haven't been a part of the live. And so you kind of get a meditation, you get a message beginning of the meditation, and then you get something afterward, so that you can kind of get a whole overview of what you experience. Some of you could have experienced like you were astral traveling. Some of you could have experienced a different emotion. Some of you could have teared up during the meditation. But it brings us back to feeling, I think, when we're meditating, not only together, but we're also meditating with the entire universe. And that's what's beautiful, is because you have a message in the beginning, and then you have the meditation, and then you have the whole overview, and then we kind of get a feeling of what everybody else was feeling. But also what everybody else was sensing and aware of. You might have connected to a new guide. You might have connected into a new energy. We don't realize how impactful in what we're imparting all the time when we do these lives and stuff, because we're always changing the energy. Sometimes you could be, I know that there was times I shouldn't have gone live, but then I did it and I felt like I got something off of my chest, if you will, So sometimes we don't realize what we're doing. It could be the very thing that you need. And I always feel led because I just love connecting with people. And we're all empathic, and we're all like caterpillars with feelers, okay? We're always tapping into that universal reception, but also that universal love within everybody. And we give our time a little bit to God every single day. If we just give our time to God, if we give our life to God, or however you feel God, because I sense God as energy. Everybody's different. You could see God as an extraterrestrial or a woman or a man. It doesn't matter, but however God's source energy orients you and how you follow those parameters is what you're supposed to follow. Because I can say all kinds of beautiful stuff, and I can say the thing that really resonates, but at the end of the day, you have to decide for yourselves. But I'm just kind of allowing people to have an outlet so that they can decide for themselves. And I think that is more impactful than anything else that I do. But it also allows me to progress and to change while we're doing meditations and interacting and stuff. And so, yeah, a lot of my guys, like I've interacted with Jesus so many times. I've had Jesus interact with me so many different times. I've had dreams of Jesus. I've had dreams of other masters and stuff like that. But I've explored spirituality and studied it, and also just allowed myself to try new things. And I think that's what the beautiful thing is about it, is meditating on the I Am Presence allows you to try new things. It doesn't allow you to just keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. But as we try new things and we expand our consciousness and we just expand upon the present moment, we allow ourselves to just keep adding a little more flavor to the pot. It's still soup. It's still soup. It's still like, all the ingredients. You can put mushrooms, onions, stir fry, whatever it is. But it's still soup. It's just what you add into the vortex of creation, right? So it's like, I might have added balsamic vinegar to the stir fry or the soup or whatever, but it just gave it a heightened taste and smell and aroma. So it just allows you to see, like, it's still soup, it's still stir fry, but you just kind of add a little more flavor to your life. And if you're able to break it down within that simplicity, it'll allow you to not get confused. Because a lot of people are lost and confused on this planet. And I can tell you that 3 years ago, I was definitely one of them. I was definitely a little lost. But the divine allowed me to find my way, and continuously finding my way. But it's just not getting in your own way, you know? If you can just step outside of where you're comfortable and allow yourself to not be in the panic zone, but stay right in the stretching zone. And don't be afraid how far you get stretched, because it's opening up to your heart centers, but it's also opening up a way that you can act on faith, conviction, love, and progression and growth. So, wow, it was a beautiful butterfly. And it's just noticing the little nuggets of gold along the way. It's just noticing the beautiful things in your life and having appreciation for where you are right now. Because if you allow yourself to purify where you're coming from instead of where you're going, don't focus on where you're going. Just focus on purifying where you're coming from right now. And if you do that, then you will always give 110%. You will always give everything to your path, because it will bring you the most blessing. Yes, me too. I also had a great teacher who is my girlfriend. And if it wasn't for her, and also God protecting me until I was 21 to awaken, I wouldn't be here either. So it is my saving grace when I do my lives and stuff. And when you can really discern that, when you can really discern that this is your saving grace, and you walk in grace, and you walk into your anointing, and you walk with the guardians of the galaxy wherever you go, and knowing that they're always with you, that is you fully being the oracle of love, light, and wisdom, because you have your guides, you have your higher self, and you also know that you're your own force field of energy. You have to be your own energy and your own individuation of creation. So that was my live. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And feel free to share out. Feel free to book a private session as well. $70 for an hour for psychic readings, healings, activations. $60 for a healing session. $50 for a psychic class. And also, if you see me on live doing readings, all you have to do is like, share, and gift. I might do it tonight. Also, go to my YouTube channel, White Wolf the Oracle, Instagram, whitewolf4741, and BitChute, White Wolf the Oracle, 23_ @. And if you're watching this on different platforms, just know I do all these live off TikTok and things of that nature. So thank you guys so much for being a part of it. God bless, and namaste.